I love that story. I just love it. I was thinking back, I don't know, when my boys were little, my mom and I co-created a vacation Bible school, and that's where I met Michelle and Diane, and that was one of the stories we used that year. So, today we celebrate Divine Mercy Sunday. The image of divine mercy was given to St. Faustina in a series of visions in the 1930s. She had the image painted, that of the risen Jesus with the water and blood coming out of his side, which we read about in the Gospels at the time of his crucifixion. St. Faustina was giving a series of prayers to say using rosary beads called the Divine Mercy Chaplet. She was told that anyone who prays this, especially as they are leaving this world, will go straight to heaven. What a relief in a time when the church was promoting purgatory and an image of God that keeps the score. The truth is that when Yahweh appears to Moses in the Hebrew Scriptures, what we call the Old Testament, Yahweh refers to itself with beautiful descriptors, right? Merciful, gracious, patient, abounding in steadfast love, faithfulness, forgiving generously. Walter Brueggemann calls these adjectives the credo of Yahweh. These adjectives are repeated throughout the books of the Hebrew Scriptures, especially in the Psalms, as we sang today, and we see them come to fruition in Jesus. Many of the adjectives are familiar to us. We can define them and recognize them in one another. But what about merciful? It's the first adjective in the list. It's also a title that has been used for Mary, Our Lady of Mercy. This emerged out of experience of people that knew royalty and that kings were not to be approached. That royal image was transferred to God, and so God became unapproachable, and Mary became the intermediary, as well as the image of the divine feminine. We now have the opportunity to explore God in terms of being merciful, to go back to our Jewish roots. I will share 4 examples from my own life and then share a mnemonic for mercy. The first is from the gospel we heard today. Just as Jesus had predicted, Peter denied their relationship how many times? 3. And yet Jesus appears to him after the resurrection and prepares breakfast for him and his crew. Can you imagine working all night and having a chef appear with a delicious meal to welcome you back in the morning? But more than that, once again, Jesus performs a miracle and the nets are full. The abundant catch is a gift. Jesus choosing to appear this way to Peter is also a gift, because it would have triggered spiritual remembering in Peter. Spiritual remembering is recognizing the divine experience we had before. This would have helped Peter's faith. Jesus put aside Peter's denial and how Peter did not stick with Jesus during Jesus' most difficult hour. Jesus showed mercy. The second picture is from my own childhood. I grew up in a very Italian home, in case you didn't know. My dad had emigrated when he was still a teen, and he thought our home should run like it did in post-World War II Italy, which included strict gender rules. Yet, he wanted us to be educated well. In the 1970s in school, I was learning that I could be anything I wanted to be, and that there shouldn't be any divisions between what women and men can do. You can imagine that the two philosophies didn't quite jive, and there was a lot of strife between us. Unfortunately, I lashed out a lot, especially at my mom. No matter how many times I had outbursts, my mom would calmly carry on in love and life, forgiving me, being compassionate, preparing my meals, and inviting me to the table. My mom was and is merciful. The third picture is from a visit I had last week with a man who has recently been moved into a nursing home with severe Alzheimer's. I've known the man throughout my life. He's Catholic through and through, with a quiet, persistent faith that brought him to Mass each week, gave him hope, provided a moral compass, and led him to treat each person he met with loving kindness. He preached the gospel by his actions, without words. This man lived a merciful life. Now he's nearing the end of his life on earth. We celebrated Mass together. Afterward, I asked him for what specifically he would like prayers. He's in his almost 90 now. In his own words, he asked that I would pray that he get into heaven. I assured him that God loves him abundantly and nothing will separate him from God's love. I reminded him of how much trouble his own son had caused him, and we laughed. I asked the man if anything his son could have done would have caused the man to kick him out of the house or stop loving him. The man adamantly and quickly assured me that nothing would have caused that. I let him know that God loves him more than he loves his son, and that nothing he can do will get him kicked out of God's eternal home or his merciful heart. The man understood. His eyes lit up, and peace settled on him. That is God's mercy at work. The final picture is from something I witnessed this week. Herb and I were blessed to be able to enjoy some days at the beach in the sunshine. At the pool, we watched a set of sisters who were young teens, we'll call Emma and Emily, who were there with their parents. Also in the pool was a girl about the same age, we'll call LaToya. LaToya was there with her mom and grandma. Before long, the three girls were all playing and chatting up a storm in the water. One night, we bumped into the girls at dinner together with the twins' parents. The twins' mom asked LaToya if she had given her own mom a heads up as to where they were. The girls being willing to play with one another instead of drawing lines is mercy. The twins' mom taking all the girls to dinner and being concerned about LaToya's mom, that's mercy too. LaToya's mom letting her go with these new friends and trusting them is another type of mercy. So the mnemonic that I've used to help understand mercy is, can we get it up on the screen? Mercy is a mother or father's love for everyone, regardless of whom they belong to or what they've done. It's being Catholic with a quiet, persistent, hope-filled faith that sees the good in others. It's being youth-like, willing to play together as sisters and brothers of the Divine One. Throughout this Easter season, may we more fully experience Yahweh and Jesus as merciful. May we grow in their image and become even more merciful than we already are.